Hi everyone, it's Darla at Scrap Happens here with Tuesday's tip. I want to show you a fun watercolor technique today using our Stampin' Up's fluid watercolor paper. I have a pre-cut piece that is 3 3/4 by 5 and I used it to make this card. You would never know that was the same paper. So I want to show you how I did it. The stamps that I used is gorgeously made, and I use the dies that go with it as well. So let me show you how I do the background, and then I'll tell you what how I finished creating this card. So I have the watercolor paper here, and I have my colors: Coastal Cabana, Tahitian Tide, Azure Afternoon, and Starry Sky. I have a water painter for each color just because it's easier, especially for videos. It was easier for my classes. We made these in my classes last month. But it was easier for classes and for video purposes to have one for each color. But you don't need one for each color. You can clean it in between uses. So I have my water painter, and I'm just going to grab some ink and kind of squeeze so the water's kind of coming out too. And then I'm just going to watercolor it onto my fluid watercolor paper. And you can make it as light or dark as you want by adding more or less water. So that's the Coastal Cabana. Next, I'm going to do the Tahitian Tide. And kind of overlap so they blend into one another, flow into one another. They're fluid with each other. Okay, that's a little corny, but it is fluid watercolor paper. Next, I'm going to use my Azure Afternoon. Remember to squeeze it to help you pick up more ink, and then squeeze it as you are applying it to the paper. I wasn't squeezing hard enough in this corner, but that's okay. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend some of the Starry Sky in with that. So that's my last color is Starry Sky. I have my aqua painter. You also don't want to get too much water. And you can use a variety of colors. The sky's the limit. Oh, I had a water drop come here. But I kind of like that look, so right here. Now, normally, I would set this aside and let it dry before I did this next step. But I'm going to see how it turns out. So let me set these while it's wet. Let me set those inks aside. Next, I have our Whisper White craft ink, the stamp pad, but I have the re-inker. And I'm just going to squeeze some into there, into the bottom. I think you can see that. Yeah. And then I have another aqua painter. Again, you don't have to have a bunch of them. You can use them over, just clean them. And then I'm going to squeeze some water from this aqua painter into there and kind of mix it up. Now, you do want to set your other ink pads aside, like if you're doing multiple ones. And I learned this from class. Well, actually, I did it too. I didn't set them aside, and I got little spots of white. You can see on my pad there that I got little spots of white from doing that. So So do set those aside. And then I think you can see, I'm just going to take my finger. This is a little bit messy, but fun. And I'm going to add some white ink and flick the white onto my background. And you can add as much or as little as you want. You can get big spots or little, you know, keep them fine. This is the most I've ever added, but I think. Anyway, that is the background. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm not going to show you on this video. You know I don't like long videos, so I'm going to keep them short. Keep it short for you. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stamp set, and I used this stamp right here. My fingers are a little messy now. And I am going to heat emboss with my heat gun, my heat tool, and white embossing powder. So I'm going to stamp it in Versamark, and I'm going to stamp it before I cut it. I'm going to stamp it, this piece right here, and I'm going to stamp it in Versamark, heat emboss it with white embossing powder, and then I'm going to cut it into 1 1/4 inch strips. That's why I picked 3 3/4 by 5, because I could get 4 strips out of 5, and it was an easy cut, 1 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then I just layered it onto my card base. You can put it on with dimensionals. I use Stamp and Seal adhesive. I cut out with the dies that go with are in the Gorgeously Made bundle. I cut this leaf piece from vellum. Couldn't think of the word. And I heat embossed the sentiment, "You're a Great Friend," onto black cardstock using the heat tool, white embossing powder, and Versamark. And then I cut it. This is a sentiment from the same stamp set, Gorgeously Made. And then this label cut is from the same dies. Super cute cut. And then I used these jewels, these embellishments, but I cannot think of the name of these. And I don't have it right here in front of me. So let me see if my catalog will tell me. That might help. I do have it. Oh, it is the 2022-2024 In Color Pearls. That's what I used here. Super simple card, super beautiful card. You can use it in like oranges and pinks and purples to make a beautiful sunset. Again, the sky's the limit. Just choose which colors you want to use and give it a try. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll have this card on my blog, scraphappensherewithdarla.com, with all those dimensions, so you don't have to watch the video over and over. And I have other inspiration there. I have been kind of out of things for a bit. I've had some kidney stone issues that I'm working on, so I haven't been blogging and doing my videotapes like I want to, but I'm hopefully getting back on track. And this is a great fun technique that you can make some beautiful creations with. So I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a great day, and I will see you next week with another Tuesday's tip.